Hello and welcome to this week's live broadcast. We're doing part two of And Glen Heroy as Santa. and, Glenn is somebody who is more than just somebody who's played Santa for almost 40 years. He's also a professional clown, a tribute artist, also known as a celebrity impersonator. He's also a musician and he sings and plays the spoons with the Jazz Bastards. um, and he will tell us tonight some of the touching and really heartwarming stories that he has, being the type of person who is holding space, Santa Claus holding space for children, and I'm sure lots of adults too, to tell him their deepest thoughts and their wishes and their hopes and their dreams. And as you'll hear, Glenn takes that role very seriously, and that's probably why he's such a good Santa, and probably why he's also a teacher who teaches Santas all over the country his special way, the Tao of Santa. And so I will let the man tell you himself without further ado. Uh, Please have a listen. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. A liminal space is an in between space. It doesn't exist all the time, and it doesn't exist for very long. Join me and my amazing guests as they teach us how to navigate through mysteries, graveyards, and the human psyche. I'm your host, Melissa B. On this week's episode,
felt like, but we change the temperature of the room. It glistens and glimmers when we leave, and there's light and breath and air, and it's we're healers. And he's like, no, we're clowns.
welcome back to part two of my interview with the wonderful, talented, fabulous Glen Heroy, who is a clown, a musician, a teacher, and most importantly for our interview today, he has been playing Santa Claus for over 30 years. Because Glenn calls Santa a spirit of love, I think he's the closest thing you can get to hearing from the real Santa. So without further ado, here's Glenn. You know, a lot of the themes that we see in movies and pop culture is about Santa needing help to save Christmas.
Right.
And you just shared with me an artistic project that you took part in, about all of the times that Santa's sleigh doesn't work anymore, or the reindeer runs away, or something goes awry, like Jack Skellington decides he could be a better Santa. Stay in your lane, Jack Skellington. You know? But then suddenly Santa has a bit of an epiphany in that story.
Yeah. Kevin Marr wrote the story, and he's just a brilliant humorist. And he brought it to life with an incredible editor and an animator and a cartoonist from the New Yorker. And he asked me if I would narrate the story, and then I wound up voicing Santa in it as well. And it's Santa is about to do Christmas Eve, and some K-pop boy band shows up and wants, don't worry, Santa, we'll save Christmas. The elves are all happy, and Santa's like, I don't need help. What's going on? I don't need your help. And then as he starts to examine, Santa, it's okay, I'm getting a little older, but I don't need your help. I'm Santa Claus. And as he's going through his duties as Santa, he realizes that he aches a little more, and there's a little more pain, and the entire thing rhymes, which is so much fun. And you know, I won't give away the ending, but Santa has an epiphany about, maybe it's okay to ask for help. You get to a certain age, it's all right. Self acceptance is a really great thing. And Kevin approached it like he and his friends said, let's write the Christmas special we'd want to see. And it premiered for the first time, and there was an 11-year-old boy in the audience who was convinced he had seen this. I saw that on TV. I've seen this special before. And there I am. I was dressed like Santa at the premiere, and I said, it's never been broadcast before. It's the first time. And he was like, nope. The dad's like, yeah, he's so determined that he's already seen that. And I think it resonates in a way with everybody. It's a fun little story, and otherwise it's when I read it over the summer, I got choked up. It's physically, I was really hurting, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this season. Who am I if I am not Santa? From 2 weeks before Thanksgiving until Christmas Eve, if I am not this person I've been for 39 years, playing this character, making the amount of money I can make, affecting as much, making the doorman smile, and the car park attendant wants to take his picture of me for his kids every year, and if I can't do that, why am I? I got choked up because the Santa in this story is like, if I can't do this, what am I? And it was great working on it. It was just so good working on it. And then the finished product is just so wonderful that I think I'm Santa at a time that it's perfect for me. That Santa who was like, Santa's the white man. Damn it. Maybe that Glenn wouldn't be ready for that story. But Kevin hit me with it at the exact right time, got in under my radar. I was like a blubbering fool reading it the first time. And writing to him saying, you don't understand how much this is resonating with me right now. It certainly isn't in the Christmas movie I watched last night, but it was in this story. And it's really kind of a magical thing. It's called, what is it? Santa doesn't need your help. But it's also, people say to me that, that Rudolph story is on again, little Rankin Bass, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is the voice I tried to use to disguise my voice as Santa for my nieces and nephew. To just be like, oh, that's Uncle Glenn. But I really had, when they were little, had to disguise my voice as Santa. And it's just the voice that kind of comes with me when I put the beard on. And kids, I remember back in Macy's, the man who was my manager, supervisor, he said, children will be convinced they saw you on television last night. And it was that little puppet. It was a stop action puppet, but they saw you. And they're going to tell you, I saw you last night. And so if you watch Rudolph now and you're just like, oh, so Santa's a bit of a prick in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They sing a song for him and he's like, okay, bye, and leaves. And it's like, wait, why they practiced it? Why what else practice?
Right.
It's for Santa. And they do this song, this dance number, and it's like, it was fine, bye. And he's all just like, he's like, oh my God, Rudolph is different. You've got to hide him. That's horrible that he's so different. And everybody's like, wow, what a prick Santa is.
Right.
And at the end, I can't see. Oh, no, wait a minute. Rudolph's nose. Right. He can save Christmas.
Right.
And then he's just like, will you do this thing? And Rudolph is just like, yeah, it'd be an honor to do this.
Yeah.
It's people come up to me and they're just like, it's a horrible story. Santa's ass. I've actually said to them, it's a story about acceptance and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a story, it's called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's not called Santa's Progress. It's about this reindeer who's a misfit and an outcast and an outlier. And because he is that, becomes the most precious thing. And he forgives Santa for being such an ass and finds validation in what he's doing. And that's a beautiful story.
Yes.
You know, not and truly when my persona as Santa when I enter a room is so much more like that King Moonracer. This broad, deep voiced, almost with a crown sitting there. And he's just trying to make the outcasts feel like they fit in and that they're important and somebody wants them. And it's not that, eat Santa, oh, that guy. Santa I'm modeling myself after. I took away that lion. When I put on that wig and that beard, it's like a mane for me.
Yeah.
Hat, it almost looks like the crown cocked to one side. And that is the physical visage of me. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm 6'4" as Santa, with the hair and the wig and the boots. And I'm just an imposing figure. And it's because of that lion with a big heart who's trying to do something special and just make somebody feel special and worthwhile.
There's something really wonderful about somebody who is really big and broad and 6'4" and with long flowing mane like a lion and a deep voice, but then them being so loving.
Right.
It's like, this is somebody who would protect me. This is somebody who is on my side, you
Yeah.
know.
You touched on something about I don't know, me being in service to Santa.
Yes.
Uh, Speaking from Santa's voice, when I am a clown and an actor and a musician and a writer and a singer, and I play the spoons, and so I have all that crap going on. And when now I'm going to wear this costume, and I'm going to be these things, and when I dress like Dame Edna, it's that costume, and I speak in this way, and then when and so I put on the Santa, and maybe because I've been doing it for so long, we tried to add up the hours, and I don't know if I've hit 10,000 hours.
Wow.
Malcolm Gladwell tells me will make me virtuosic, where the Beatles did that playing in Berlin before they ever got to America, had their 10,000 hours in, and I may not have the 10,000 hours yet because it's just 1 month a year, and maybe one appearance in July for Christmas and July. But, there's something that happens where if I just give myself over to the character in a what would Santa say kind of way, where nothing I can prepare for. And a story I've told a lot. I tell it for one reason, and it seems to have a different effect when people hear it. The reason I tell it is, if as a character actor, if I can relax into that character and breathe, then I'm breathing as the character. And the character of Santa Claus, as I portray him, I can answer questions like him and be present as him and not be like, I don't know if the parents can get you that puppy. You're answering as the character. Santa wouldn't say that. Santa, like other kind of takes a village to take care of a living being. The
Mm,
puppy's alive. Are you going to help out? Is the household going to help out? Because otherwise, I might get you a toy puppy or a
right,
robot puppy, whatever, or
right.
and Santa can think like that, but Glenn can't. It was the first Christmas after 9/11,
Mm,
and I was doing an event at the Rockefeller Center tree lighting, which was a party for rescue workers, mostly cops and firemen and their families. It was called the Widows and Orphans of September 11th.
wow.
Just a couple of months,
Yeah.
a couple months after, and I didn't think of it as anything other than I'm going to appear as Santa.
Mm,
First gig of the year. And oh, how special that is so close to the Rockefeller Center tree. That it's at a Tishman spear building. And it was uh, ground level, and you could see the tree, and it was, and the children were going to be there. But, there I was, dressed as Santa, sitting, and the first child who came and sat on my lap said, "My daddy died when the buildings fell down." And I said, "I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Can I tell you a secret?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, I knew your daddy. And he said, "You knew my daddy?" I said, "Yeah, I used to bring presents when he was your age." And want to know something else? Sure. He was always on the good list, just like you. And now I need to know, what do you want Santa to bring you for Christmas? And I remember Todd, the balloon twister, standing next to me, twisting balloon candy canes, was like, "He really is Santa."
yeah.
But I hadn't planned to say that. I didn't know he was going to say that. I just had to answer as Santa, the Santa who lives inside me would answer, and say what I would want to hear. And when I tell that story from a character actor standpoint, if it's a room full of Santas trying to learn the trade, who are very patriotic, they see it as something totally different than the reason I say that. But if you can learn to speak in the voice of your character, then there's no ego. You check your ego at the door. It doesn't have to come with you. You're not you. You're a person said to me, "Isn't it hard for you that so many children are just hugging and loving you, and yet there's a belly and there's a beard, and it's removed, and they're really not hugging you? They're hugging a character, and you're just behind it, like I was inside the Kool-Aid Man suit or something." And I guess that person just didn't understand that when I'm putting on the padding and making myself larger than life, I'm that belly that I put on is me, and the eyes I have are my eyes, and my ears, and my breath, and my portal is open, and they are hugging Glenn, because I'm at that time, Glenn is Santa, and it's putting on clown makeup. Don't you hide all your expression with all that? Well, no. This makeup is allowing me to let my expression out,
Mm.
and hopefully, or as I approach it.
Something that is not really commonly known, and even if it is known, I don't think people really understand how deep this is. But at the ancient healing center at Epidaurus, at the temple of Asclepius, the god of healing, and his daughter Hygeia, the goddess of cleanliness, and people that were sick, not only physically sick, but perhaps emotionally sick, or their spirit was broken, could go to the healing center, and they would be given something to help them sleep and dream lucidly. And perhaps something like a guayasa tea ceremony that comes to us today from the Amazon, because this is an art which is lost to the Western world. We don't know what those concoctions were anymore, but they would dream together. And then when they awakened, they would tell their dream to the actors that worked there in the temple, and the actors would perform the things that had happened in their dreams for the entire community.
Wow.
And theater itself was enacted for, they always say catharsis in the textbooks about theater. You know, the purpose of theater in ancient Greece was catharsis, but it was so much more than that, especially when you think of how powerful it must have been to be held that way, that your experience that you had in your sickness and that your perspective was held so deeply that people then performed it, and then everyone watched it, and then some people might have said, you know, I've been so afraid of going to this place, but after I saw that part, I'm not afraid anymore. You know, the clown, the sacred clown, you know, in the tarot deck, he's the fool. He's also known as the bodhisattva, or sometimes the idiot Buddha, because he does more for others than he does for himself. So the example that's often shown in the story of the fool is that there were three men, and they were suffering in the desert with nothing to eat and nothing to drink, and they saw this walled enclosure, and the first man was hoisted up, and he looked over the wall, and he saw this garden of lushness and fruit and little waterfalls trickling down the rocks and cool mosses and little birds, and he said, there's a garden, and he jumped right in. And the second man was hoisted up, and he went right over the top, and the third man, left on his own, climbed up to the top, looked over, said it's just as they said it was, and then turned around and went into the desert, because if he could find other people that were lost, then he could bring them to that place too.
Mm-hmm. Great. Oh
So
my gosh.
we see that, you know, that out of play, out of taking a character on, out of performing something, you know, even if the dream that someone had was silly, like I am a turtle and I fell on my back and I can't get up, you know, that to have that play, you bring regeneration, and you bring possibility to people that maybe even have lost their sense of hope. And hope is the most important thing for human beings, for civilization.
Mm. And I worked as a clown in residence at the Hole in the Wall gang camp,
Uh,
with children with not in the best circumstances and had life-threatening illnesses. And to be like, I think 125 children per session.
wow.
And I did 6 years. I think I did 16 different sessions, staying up there and being clown as a verb. And it's a great, just a great, great job to have, because as one friend described it as the camp zigs, you zag, and you're always just funny way of looking at things, or you know, knocking the wind out of the people who are in charge. And so much of that was also for the nurses who worked up there and the doctors who were volunteering their time. And I worked for a clown care unit here in New York City for 8 years at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I was Dr. Bovine in pediatrics, and I would walk in and they combed me into the fabric of that that facility. I was part of the medical team, and even though nurses would give me a hard time, and I'd give them a hard time, I was in such a I just it was such a rewarding. I felt like it was the job that defined me as an adult. Was working as a clown in a children's hospital, and we always said that we were there for the staff as well as the children, as well as the children's families. And if I could just change the temperature of the room just a little bit, make a child forget they were sick for 5 minutes, and let the medical staff take care of that part of the child. And Michael Christensen, who started this program, said, we take care of the part of the child that's well. And but I felt like, but we change the temperature of the room. It glistens and glimmers when we leave, and there's light and breath and air, and it's we're healers. And he's like, no, we're clowns. and in a way, I have a friend who, gosh, just reminds me of you, and you remind me of her, and I felt that way since the moment I met you. Was like, wow, you remind me of Mary Ann. Sometimes a certain affinity you have for somebody when they're like, you're just like this wonderful person. Oh my God, you're wonderful too. And I remember Mary Ann, who's no great fan of a clown. She's a filmmaker who just doesn't like clowns. And one day she was in Riverside Park, and I was working at Lincoln Center in the tent and was doing a pre-show for a show I wasn't in. And then I lived just 20 blocks away, and it was just easier for me to become a clown in the comfort of my apartment, and then ride my wife's female-shaped bicycle, direct like a clown, down to Lincoln Center, do the 2-3 hours, turn around, just bike back as a clown. And as I'm biking back, I see Mary Ann in that little circle in Riverside Park in the 70s where it starts, and where the statue of Eleanor Roosevelt is. And so I see her and I'm on a bike. So I start going around in that circle, like, Mary Ann, oh my God. And she was just like, what are you doing? Parked the bike, and I sat with her, and this little girl and what I perceived as her grandma were coming out of the park, and the girl was dressed in a soccer uniform, and she was crying, and the grandma was leading her out. And I looked at the little girl and said, there's a bee on your uniform. A bee? Wait, I can guess the name of your soccer team. You're obviously I don't know. I just started making up anything that started with a B. You're the bodegas. You're the big bad bears. No, wait, stop. You're broccoli, and she was just like getting so exasperated with me that she forgot she was trying. And I was like, wait a minute, you're the fighting whatever with the bees. You're the bees. You're just bees. And she started laughing, and then I was like, well, I started doing the sleight of hand magic with foam rubber clown noses, where I did one, then be two, and then it just got to be too many, and the trick is bigger than all of us. And at the end, there's these two people walking out of the park wearing clown noses, laughing. Mary Ann was just sitting there watching me the whole time, and she said, have you read Dostoevsky's Idiot? I was like, no. She goes, this isn't an insult, but that's you. And you realize you just changed her whole day around? And so, yeah, otherwise I'm just a scary guy in makeup sitting in a park. So, and so to be called an idiot or a fool is such high praise.
Yeah.
the stuff that I do, because there's magic and healing that can be done.
The role of Santa or the role of the clown is a sacred role for our
Mm,
society, and it is one that is needed perhaps now more than ever.
seriously. Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn. You make the world go around. And thank you for listening, my lovely listeners. I'll see you next time. Happy holidays.